It says avoid legal snags by telling people they're. Oh, okay. You are being recorded. This is an episode of Puffing with P. You guys already know what the puff is going on. I'm Smokey P, and I'm here with
Pop Mom 420.
yeah, the one and only Pop Mom. So, we've been chatting for a long time. We've kind of known each
Yeah.
other through the Instagram ropes, and I think I've ran into you at a couple of
You didn't
cannabis
just
encounters.
run into me, Smokey P. I actually, you surprised the hell out of me. I was with a group of friends and you was
Hmm.
like, oh my God, you Pop Mom. And I think I was more shocked
Hmm.
because you knew exactly who I was. You were selling hat. You had the
Hmm.
pink blunted hat that I still have. I was
Yes.
like, oh no, I'm buying that from my man. You was the
Right.
only one that I bought something off of because of your sheer excitement for me. I was like, oh, this dude got love for me. I gotta find him. So
Hey,
I
it's
really
real.
got a lot of respect for you. You saw me like, and you just knew who I was. So I just got so excited over you. So I'm just happy your platform is growing. I've been watching you and you're booming. Like you are taking off and paying attention to everything happening. So I got your back, Smokey
I
P. I got your
appreciate that.
back.
And you have your own method, you know what I mean? You have your own platform that you've been really creating and building. And that's what I wanted to bring you on because I know you were new. How long have you been in Vegas now?
Been in Vegas almost a year and a half. Yeah, year
Okay,
and a half.
so
Yep.
so you're fairly new to the Vegas scene, but just as
Yeah.
like the cannabis community, I would still say is fairly new out here. Some people known each other for a good couple years, but for the most part, we're still kind of growing and getting to know each other. So when I saw your face, and I was like, oh, that's a fresh face to me, and I wanted to get to know you and be a part of what you're going because we're both melanated, and
That's
that's the
right.
it's about us coming together in these forms of different, I guess, different cliques or whatever, different
Mm-hmm.
sections of life. We all need to be able to navigate and talk to one another and help each other. So that was definitely what I wanted to do. And part of my mission is networking with everybody, people of color in the cannabis industry, and
Mm-hmm.
figure out how we can create ways to be a positive force. And it don't have to be all hoorah rah, but at the same time, we want to be respected at the same level and
For sure.
juncture as these other top elite guys. And so that's what I wanted to bring forth with you. But tell me, I know you have a lot going on in your life. So
Mm-hmm.
tell me a little bit more about, where you're from,
Okay.
and just give me a little life background story so we can get to know you and understand the journey of Pop Mom.
Okay. So basically put right now I'm 41 years old. Prayerfully 42 in a few months. From
Great. Look
Philadelphia.
amazing.
Thank you. Born in New York, raised in Philly. Just a little background about my childhood. I grew up during the 80s. So I grew up during the war on drugs.
Yeah.
My generation was the first generation to see crack cocaine hit our neighborhood. So I was
Hmm.
the first set of kids in Harlem, New York to go through foster cares and all of
Hmm.
the
I
systems.
know deeply about foster care systems, man. I know.
Yes, so I was one of those kids who got shoved out to Long Island, New York with white families and didn't understand it. I thank God that I had a brother, my brother I love to death, who no
Hmm.
matter what foster home I was in, he found me.
Yeah.
It got to a stage of life where he was able to get me and place me with an older relative that I
Hmm.
then moved to Philadelphia with, who I tell people Philly literally saved my life from New York because it was
That
so
brotherly
hard
love.
to grow up. It was so hard to grow up in New York at those times. And, families were displaced. So we really didn't understand what was going on. So I thank God that my brother, he knew that his sister had to be somewhere safe. He always told me, he was like, you was different. Like you
Hmm.
wasn't cut for this. Like you was always smart. You was paying attention. So I tell people, my brother saved my life by moving me to Philly. Moved to Philly, got with my aunt. My aunt just changed my life. She got older. Unfortunately, I wound up moving in with a church family who is my stepmom, and I've been with
Uh-huh.
her since I'm 15 years old. So that journey, just having family and just being displaced and all the things that I had, it was a church family that kind of,
Hmm.
made it okay for me to have those problems. Say, hey, you're gonna be all right. It's gonna be
Right.
something that comes out of this. So, just like any kid that grew up in Philly, I was always smart. I had kids young, got married young, and interestingly enough, I wasn't into cannabis.
Uh-huh.
My ex-husband, he was into cannabis, and I think for any black woman at the time coming up in the '90s, we were all about this self-empowerment, and we're going to
Yeah.
college and we're going to change and be different than our parents. So being with Black men that smoked weed, it was sort of like, no, we're not
Yeah, it was a
smoking weed.
taboo. It was kind of
It
like
was a
you're bringing yourself
taboo.
down and
It really was. So in my 20s, I found myself judging Black men
hmm
until I worked inside of a prison. So in my 20s, I worked as a correctional officer.
oh,
Um,
cool.
so I did correctional work for almost 9 years in Philadelphia prisons.
hmm
One day I came in and literally something just came over me. A part of it was the partner that I was working with, her son actually came through the prisons. And I
Wow.
remember the receiving room calling me and saying, hey, your partner's kid is down here in the receiving room. And I just was like, damn, how am I going to tell my partner her son is in the receiving room? And something in that just changed the way I saw incarceration. Like, I
hmm
think I was, I think I was moving through everything. Like in the 90s, as long as I got myself together, I'm a woman, I'm empowered. Like, you just can. And when I worked in it and I sat in it, and I was like, damn, am I a part of the problem? Like, I
Mm.
started really looking at me like, okay, I'm coming in here every day, babysitting the same people. Am I really changing the system? And I think that's when the light bulb for me started to go off, and I started seeing recidivism for what it was and seeing how many minorities was coming. I literally would sit back and be like, damn, it's so many minorities, like, but they're minor offenses, they're drug offenses. Why are they in prison so long? Like, all of these questions just
Starts
hit me
going
at
through
one
your
time.
head.
It did. So from there, it was like I wanted to go back to college. So I went back to a community college, started studying criminal justice, and I realized everything that the professors were teaching in the books was not really happening in real life. So I was the one kid in class raising my hand like, that doesn't happen. I work in a prison system and this is what really happens. And the
hmm
teachers was like, yo, like, wait a minute. They
Yeah.
wasn't ready for it. They just wasn't ready for it. So I knew from there we were living in two systems. The educated world that I was trying to achieve, but I was being told by scholars, this is the way the system is. And then I was a part of another working system that didn't match. So
hmm
for me, the only way to really dive in was to remove myself. So one day I came into work like on a Tuesday and I was like, I quit. And everybody thought I lost my mind. It was like, you gonna quit this $80,000 job? I was like, yep, I'll find another one. They was like, really? Like, you got benefits? People start running down everything you
Yeah.
got. I was like, but I'm not changing anything. I started realizing all I'm doing is collecting a check. I'm not
Right.
changing anything. So for me, that's when it literally started at like 29, where this light bulb went off. Like, how do I make changes? And of course, I stayed a little bit in criminal justice, thinking maybe if I run a rehab center. I realized that didn't work. And it
hmm
wasn't until really I had my own breakdown, my own mental, like, I can't do it no more, I can't figure it out, is when the answers start to come. And a lot of it came from within. A lot of
Yeah.
it for me came in my early 30s. That breakdown, that mental breakdown that I had, it tore me down so bad that my family saw it and was like, wow, she's under this immense amount of pressure of trying to figure out who she needs to be versus what society wants me to be as
Her
a
to
woman.
be. Right.
So I had to make a choice. So for me, it was seeking out my own mental health. And I
hmm
thank God at the time I had a doctor. She said to me, she said, listen, you've been through a lot mentally. I want to put you on prescription Zoloft. And I said, nah, I can't. I
No.
watched my family take prescription drugs. And I kept saying to her, I said, if I use anything, it's going to be weed. If I use anything, it's going to be weed. And this doctor literally broke down to me and was like, listen, I'm not supposed to tell you and advocate for cannabis, but if you go
But
out Colorado, she was like, if you go to Colorado, this was right before legalization. She said, if you go out there, she gave me a friend's number that was a doctor that was doing medical marijuana. And she said, just tell him I sent you. He's a colleague of mine, went to school with me. And
hmm
that's what I did. And it happened to be the year they was legalizing. Had no idea. Went to Colorado. My mama, my grandma, they all thought I was crazy. They was like, what are you going out to Colorado? There's no black people there. What, you just smoke weed? Because at the time you didn't know in the early 2000s.
yeah.
My grandma like, you just want to smoke weed. I'm like, no, I'm just trying to find this place of healing so I can start to figure out how do I be
Right.
a bigger person than what I am.
You had to break
Why don't
that chain of following the medicine and the pills and all that. You had to break that. Yep. And
Yep,
that's what a lot of our black community need to lose that stigma because we're being taken out by continuing to take opioids and all these painkillers and
true.
different things when in reality we could be smoking cannabis or CBD, and they
Exactly.
don't even have to smoke. That's the crazy
Exactly.
part. But
Exactly.
continue. I'll let you
Yep.
continue.
No, you okay.
Yeah.
So me going out there and not knowing the magnitude of legalization, because I still wasn't like, I still had the stereotype, the black girl stereotype, like, black guys
Yeah.
should smoke weed. Like I still really didn't get it. And I knew I could use the help, but I still wasn't like, okay, I'm not fully convinced yet. And it wasn't until I stood in line, and we stood in line for about 4 hours on the day of legalization, and I saw every race and color. I mean, I'm in Denver, Colorado, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm just gonna be out here with some straight bland white people. And it was
Right.
nothing like that at all.
Mm-hmm.
It was
At all.
like white people that's hippie with locks and just cool to the plant. Like the plant was like, I was like, yo, all these people love cannabis. I
Yeah.
just it was the most unifying thing I have ever attested to in my life. And I remember
Mm-hmm.
calling my family like, yo, I think I seen the future. And I can't explain it. But of course,
Yeah.
my cousins and I was like, yo, you're just tripping off the weed. I'm like, no, this is a movement and y'all don't get it. And it was like another light bulb had went off. So what
Mm-hmm.
I started to do from there is made sure that I understood what the plant was going to mean for me. So that meant matching up a strand that would work for me, which was Blue
Correct.
Dream. And that sounds so corny looking back on
Uh,
like, oh, Blue Dream, but Blue Dream was everything it meant in the beginning. I thought that was like top everything. But I really did. I thought Blue
Blue
Dream was like,
Dream.
yo, this is the cure. I remember coming back home to Philly and being with my cousin, because you know you always got a guy cousin that take care of your weed by. I was like, yo, when you go on your weed dude, ask him if he got Blue Dream. He was like, cuz, this is not Colorado. He either got good, he got something good, or he got Reggie. That's it. That was in your time. I'm like, yo, ask him about. He was like, yo, stay in the car because you just way too educated.
Yeah, you do it too much
So I
right
thought
there.
Blue Dream was everything, but from there it just became, I don't even know how to explain it. I remember coming back from Colorado and just staying up for days trying to learn everything I could. It was like crazy. Like it had over consumed me at a point, like where I just was like, yo, I gotta learn everything about cannabis. I started reading the history of cannabis. I started finding out the seed came from Asian China. I started studying the laws. Like it just became
It took
like I
over.
don't even it really did. So it wound up honestly coming to a head a few years ago. Um, my oldest son, who played college football,
Okay.
he wound up having he had an ACL and MCL replacement.
Ooh.
So I told his coaches, I was like, yo, we're not doing prescription drugs. I was like, we're doing CBD. And he was like, yo, I kind of trust you enough as a parent, like the way you to do it with him. I said, I know what I'm doing. So
Yeah.
we wound up going like upstate Asheville, North Carolina, learning hemp products, what to use to try to rehab him so he wouldn't have the
To
prescription
take.
drugs. So
Mm-hmm.
my oldest son started saying, hey, mom, and I started making tinctures at the time. So a lot of my original YouTube videos came from me making tinctures like
Okay.
him. And he was like, mom, you in here in the kitchen with this machine. You need to put this on YouTube. I was like, boy, ain't nobody got time for YouTube. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to make sure you okay. And he was smart enough to say, mom, I promise you, if you be honest with people and just show them what you're doing, you might actually find people who agree and you don't have to be embarrassed. So my
Yeah.
YouTube career started with my oldest son just putting one camera on me and saying, mom, just let me do it. And you just don't pay me no mind and just do what you're doing. And that's really how it started with us moving. And we was like, yo, well, we in it now. Y'all want to move? So we had to make a family decision like, okay, either we want to stay out east and states aren't legal, or are we going to head
Mm-hmm.
out west and just go for it? And it
Go
was
out west.
my sons was like, fuck it, let's go for it. And when I moved to Vegas, they packed their bags and they moved across the country with me. And they was like, mom, we're going to do YouTube. We're going to do, and they started
Yeah.
it rolling. So they believed in me. And that's what was crazy. I couldn't even believe in myself hard enough than my kids did. So they was like, mom, you really need to go at this a little bit
That's
harder.
crazy how your kids empower you to understand, help you unlock your true potential sometimes when you don't see it. You know what I'm saying? Those are the ones closest to you who you could trust in
Mm-hmm.
and can, that they usually have your best interest. So,
Yep.
that was
And
just a
young
mom's
people tend
tuition.
to have that too. Young
Hmm.
people tend to have this unstoppability about them that they really don't see the stop signs, the fears. And that's why I always keep younger generations around me, because what we are fearful of, my sons didn't see that. They were just like, yo, you really have it. Just do it. And I was like, no, I'm a black woman. I kept thinking because I was black, that was going to hinder me. And
No.
it was not going to allow me to build up a community because we had so many stereotypes against us.
Mhm.
That was the crazy part. I was like, nobody's going to listen to a black woman talk about cannabis. They don't
Right.
want to
I
hear
hear you.
that. And my sons didn't see that. They really didn't see that. They was like, why wouldn't they? Mom, you got criminal justice degree. Like they just saw all of the stories pieced together. Like your story matters. And I was just like, you know how many black women deserve to smoke? You know, I feel like the whole black community should just have a pass to smoke marijuana, all the trauma we've been through for 400 years. So I'm
Come on.
thinking, what the hell difference am I going to make? That's really what I was thinking. I was like, I'm not going to make no difference, y'all. I really didn't think if this would take off like this. Honestly, I had no idea this would happen. So I am still shocked. That's why I tell people I don't even feel that heroicness yet because I'm just like still in the state of shock. Like, damn, this many people out here. I'm just, just one little
For,
small person.
so how long have you been building up your YouTube following?
So we started actually the YouTube page. This is 2020. I believe we started it in maybe 2018. I want to say the end of 2017. But the funny story is we started the page from me making the tinctures because we had the magical butter machine. So I had wound
Mm.
up going to like a local
Shout out
smoke shop.
Magical.
Yep, started going to a local smoke shop. Just wanted to buy something nice off the place because they were so nice to me. I was like, let me cop this machine. Maybe I could do something with it. So I
Mhm.
wound up working with the machine, and my son thought that visually was a good look. And we wound up. It was funny. We wound up posting the video. I think he was the only one following me, and I was following him, and that was it. Like for a year, it's just like one view for a whole year. This tells you a lot. Then literally when we got to Vegas, I remember we got here 2019 in the end of February. I was still maybe at maybe 100 people, I want to say, saw the video. And I believe maybe in March, end of March, my son called me from his apartment, was like, Mom, have you been looking at the YouTube? I'm like, no. He was like, yo, your videos are picking up crazy. And before I knew it, it just started shooting up. And I was like, damn, what is going on? We realized we moved to a legal state, so it allowed our audience to grow and make us more, authentic in the area because we were in a
Mm.
legal state. So we realized from shifting the business to a legal state, it did allow our content to look a little more serious, a little more polished.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it went. For a while, we didn't have no views. It didn't get no play. I didn't know how to make it work. It just happened when we got to a legal state, and we did everything wrong. I tell people when you do everything wrong at first, it works
Mhm.
out because you
Yeah.
learn from your failures. So we was literally just failing for years, and then we realized like, whoa, we hit something. Now let's
Right.
figure out what we're doing and why is it happening. So that's kind of how
But you
that
was
happened.
laying, but in reality, if you think about it, you were laying the groundwork. You know what I'm saying? You were putting in that work for people to
Yeah,
even take you serious where you're at in your journey now, because it wasn't just you moving to the state. It was like you moving to the legal state and seeing all the work that you had put in prior to, and it was like, wow, okay, let me
yeah,
go see what Pop Mom has been actually up to, and it takes notice. So that's amazing to hear how your story went, and that gives other people who are doing some of the similar things hope that, you know what, if I stay persistent with what I'm doing,
for
stay
sure.
true to it, and it's
It's true
really,
too.
you know what I mean, that's what a lot of people
That's
have
the
to
perfect
understand.
part.
It has to be something that you're passionate about, because you
Hmm.
are going to have those moments where, oh man, people didn't see it, oh they didn't, it wasn't, it didn't pick up like I thought it would. But if you were authentic and you really care about it, you just know that it came from the heart, and that at some point the right people are going to see it. And that's what
Exactly.
happened. The right people started to see you, and your mission was true. They, and like your kids say, they saw the authenticness in what you
Yeah,
were doing, and it wasn't like, oh man, she's just trying to do this for the views.
yeah,
No, you
yeah.
were doing it for all the right reasons, and you were just showing other people how to get to that path. And usually a lot of times when I've seen on YouTube, when people are those people who show you how to do things, or they're more informative and they really have been on it for some time and you trust them, they
Yeah.
buy into that. Like I buy
It's very
into that.
true.
Like
Yeah,
if
it's
I'm
very
going to
true.
any
It is
review.
very true.
So
And I think the more important part is when you come, you come to places. I wanted to make sure that I didn't take a cannabis culture for granted. I realized myself, my ignorance in coming just from the East Coast. When I came to the West Coast, I mean, Vegas, and it's probably why I'm so passionate about cannabis workers, is because they are so goddamn smart. I mean, the education that they got on sheer will of learning how to do some shit they self. Like I used to think dabbing, I still think it looks like beam me up, Scotty, crack cocaine, but I
Right.
understand why you dab. I understand the solvent list to it. I understand it's a healthier version on your lungs.
Yeah.
But coming from the East Coast, we just like, no, white people dab. And you realize, like I told my cousin, I was like, gotta stop. We can't say that no more because I'm a black
Right.
person and with dab. May
Right.
not dab often, but you just realize that even within our cannabis culture is still, you can be ignorant.
To me,
You can be ignorant.
it's still a taboo to me. Like I've been smoking for a while now, and
Mhm.
I've done dabbing, but it just never was something. Not saying that it looked like I was doing something else, but it felt like something else. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It just like it didn't give me the right type of feeling. I'm like, all right, I'll put some wax in my joint or do some things
Yeah.
like that. But like getting a torch, getting it
Yeah.
hot, scraping a little bit up, scraping it around the sides, getting alcohol. Like I still to this
And
day, I
cleaning
just
it.
don't. Yeah, I don't
I know.
understand the process,
But I
but
respect it. I
I
think it was
respect it.
one of those things coming out here, just understanding the culture and why, because that was the
Right.
thing. Like everybody out on the East Coast want to know what's going on out West, what they doing. And
What are
you
y'all
really got
doing?
to embrace the whole goddamn culture. Like you
Mhm.
really do. So I always want the same respect for our culture. We
Right. Right.
give our white we give our white cannabis folks the space they need to create wax dabs and stuff, and then we say, okay, that's what you're doing, we'll check it out, but when it comes to us, we need you to understand that too. So I didn't want to be one of those people that came in the culture and couldn't cross over. You realize, you'd be like, damn,
Right.
can I cross over? But you realize from being in that crossover, they never have to cross over either. So
Yeah.
now I'm in this space. Now I'm like, okay, I came out here to be educated by y'all, to learn things that I didn't know. But now it's time for me to school y'all too, because
Right.
it's things about us and our culture that y'all have to understand as well. So I wanted to embrace the whole culture because I knew it was different. West Coast, Colorado, Cali, it's a difference.
Hmm.
All of it is different. The way weed is grown. So I wanted my sons to know we wasn't just gonna be entertainers, and I think that was hard. To go
Hmm.
on YouTube and try to capture people's attention, and you're trying to entertain, yourself, and you're trying to give truthful, informative information. It could be
Yes.
difficult. And I think the only way I'm able to achieve it is by engulfing it. Like I don't try to give you I don't give it away. Like if I'm opening some shit right now, I'm opening it. Like I don't
Yeah.
try to do it behind the scenes. I just let it come off just the way it is. If I fuck it up and say it wrong, it's gonna be said
That's
wrong.
wrong.
It's not perfect, but I'm learning it as I go. So I always want my pot peeps to know it's not about, none of this shit is about you doing nothing perfect. It's just about attempting to do it. Just attempting to learn something. I didn't know anything about dabbing, but I got respect for those who dab. I'm not gonna buy all the equipment and the torches and shit, but I want the community to know I respect y'all. I'm gonna
Yeah.
put that out there, whatever that is. So you
I love
realize that
dabs. They taste amazing. So I
they,
love when I pull
they
up on my
are.
dab people because I'm not
I
dabbing.
do. The 710 community is hot to death. Okay. We
Yeah.
420 and 710 together. So I had to learn what 710 was.
Yeah.
It's just, it's so much to learn. And I think for me, this last year and a half of learning, I had to learn it on the inside. So working in the industry, I got to use all the people around me to teach me. So that's why I fight for them today. Because all them people that I fight for, they taught me something. You had to teach me something. If you ever met me inside a dispensary, you got to teach me something. I got to
Right.
learn something.
Speaking about the dispensary, I know you have some background in
Hmm.
the field and the cannabis, not industry. Let me say. At what point did you get into the industry officially out here in Las Vegas? And what was your official starting point when you did that?
So when I originally came out here, honestly speaking, I didn't think I would. I have a lot of background in retail. Used to work for
Mm-hmm.
Nordstrom's companies selling Gucci and all that kind of stuff. So I was like,
That's high
if I
end.
got, yeah. So I was like, if I got to grab a job, I'm gonna go head back over, to Caesars
Yeah.
and grab something over there, And that was what the play was. I was over at Caesars, working for Tory Burch for a quick minute. And I was like, oh, I'm tired of retail sales. And, me and my son was doing the YouTube. And I said, well, damn, we ain't getting ad revenues. Like, it ain't, the money ain't coming in. I'm going to continue to do it. But I was like, I know I got to keep my foot. And then my son was like, well, mom, you might as well go ahead and work for the dispensary. And I was like, nah, because that's me working for somebody else. You know, I know the whole thing. I'm like, nah. He said, well, it might be nice for the culture just to understand how inside. You know, I said, well, maybe you're right. I said, but I know I'm well overqualified for some of these
Mm-hmm.
positions. So I said to myself, do I really want to go for a bud tender position? Because that's the, you know, everybody want the bud tender position. So I had to really honestly give it some thought because I come from sales. So quite naturally, bud tending was right in my avenue. And I said to myself, I said, damn, I'm setting myself up for a position that's overworked. You know, you're going through the numbers because I'm smarter than that. And I said, no,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something behind the scenes where I'm not the forefront person. Plus, I got this YouTube platform, so I don't want no owners to say what I can't do. Because
Yeah.
when you're a bud tender, now you got to sign NDAs to say that you won't. Yes, a lot of bud
Okay.
tenders have to sign a non-disclosure because what they don't want you to do
Well,
is
new info.
have a preference when you're selling to customers. So, say you're a person that loves BAM, you might only sell BAM products because of your other job.
Ah,
I
okay.
didn't want to set myself up. So I wound up taking a merchandise job in the back. And I thought that was interesting because I come from the merchandise world. And I said, okay, I'll take the merchandise job in the back. And they said, you sure you don't want to be a button? I said, not at all. So I
Did you
went in
get
the
to
back and
pick flavors and stuff, or how does that job work?
well, merchandise for Planet 13 is everything you see visually displayed, visual, all those containers. That's visual merchandising. Any
Okay.
clothing, any product that sell. What most people don't realize, every time flower, the bud is sold, you have to sell rolling paper, a lighter. Merchandise makes money. That's all accessories. So I already understood that.
Mm.
So I took that job, but I knew the hourly wage wasn't going to be high. So I'm also an investor. So I said, well, fuck it. I'm going to make my money on the back end. I'm going to buy shares of Planet 13. I'm also going to tell my family invest. That's usually how we do it. So my
Mm-hmm.
family, we bought a good amount of shares of Planet 13. So I figured my money going to make money, even though I'm getting this
I,
little, I counted it as intern money. That's what I call
I
it.
hear
This
you.
intern money.
Being
It ain't
smart.
much.
Double up.
You know, it ain't much, but I'm going to get an education while I'm here. So I'm in the back. I picked the night shift so that way I ain't got all that pressure. So
Yeah, I
I
hear
sat in the
you.
back and I learned everything about that store from being in there. So the last 6 months of of me working there, I got promoted. I became the staff trainer. So I
Mm.
trained all the employees coming in. And I
Nice.
believe I only got that position because they saw my YouTube page when I created videos for Planet 13. And I,
Ah.
you know, the videos I had that how to shop at a dispensary, how to tip your bud tenders.
Vendor.
I would me and
Ah.
my son were making content because we realized Planet 13 didn't have traffic of videos. People didn't have any videos on YouTube. So my son was like, Mom, we need to start making videos for that company. Maybe we can build some traffic. And that's how we built our lane for Planet 13. Planet 13 did not have, and that's why I go hard. They did not have videos coming their way. I had an SEO
At
guy
all.
who drove all the traffic that way. And that's how those videos got 50,000 views because I was driving traffic. People were literally coming into Planet 13 like, is Pop Mom here? Because she always talks about this store. And then people would come get me. They would come get me in the back like, Pop Mom, somebody's asking about you. I'm like, who? Do they know I'm not? What is going on? People were following me. So that's
That's
how we
crazy.
wound up doing that. But I believe when you work for a company, you're all invested in. You know what I mean? When I
Mm-hmm.
work for Nordstrom, I own Nordstrom stock. So that's how I'm always able to balance the worker versus the investor.
Yeah.
So that's my power. That's my authentic power. Any place I work, when I left the prison system, I told myself I would never work for a company that I could not own. Because when you're in those positions like prisons and you're subjected to whatever they tell you to do. When you're an investor, it's different. When I'm
Mm.
investing in Nordstrom, I walk around that goddamn store like I own it because I own it. And everybody gonna know I own it. So I'm gonna treat it
Period.
with respect. Period. Planet 13, people came in there. I treated that shit like I was an owner. If you had a complaint, like when that customer had a complaint, that bothered my soul because I'm an owner. When you
Yeah.
invested, I gave you the money to make this thing run right. So when people don't, I go in because my money matters.
That's true
And I
though.
want everybody to know that your money matters when you spend it. I don't care if it's a piece of candy at Walmart. Your money fucking matters. And I
It
learned
adds
that at
up.
a young age.
Because if you get 100 people or 1,000 people at that same clip that don't buy that piece of candy, they're gonna feel it. You know, I mean,
Exactly.
it's piece by piece, and that's what we as a people need to understand with our money is that if people aren't gonna treat you right, if these companies don't stand for the right ideology
Mm-hmm.
and they don't align with you and how you want to be treated, then you need to stop spending money at these
You
places,
do.
because even if it's like you say, even if it's just a piece of drink, or a piece of
Mhm.
candy or soda, anything, or if it's at a dispensary, even if it's a gram, a pre-roll,
Mhm.
we
It
need to
matters.
understand, let them know that we don't want to shop with you guys if you guys aren't going to do things the right way and accommodate all of our people. And people sometimes get caught up with the, oh, well, they've never done anything to me.
To me,
I hate that,
I
because
hate
if
that
you'll
so
allow them to
bad.
do it to other people, then it's just a matter of
Exactly.
time until they do it to you. And then when they do it to you, then you'll be all mad, like, oh, I should have
Exactly. And then you want
listened.
somebody to fight for you. And
Yeah,
that's the so
it's
what
like,
people have to
no.
understand is, and what I started recognizing, especially in cannabis, if you don't treat your employees well, you'll never treat everyone else well. It's sort of like I tell my children, if you disrespect me in the house, I know what you go outside and do. If
Right.
we can't treat each other as a neighborly family that work together, then you're not really respecting the customers or anybody out there. You're just fronting. So I
Yeah.
realize a lot of these companies will hire us for PR faces, and
Mm-hmm.
then the true colors come out, like when COVID happens and they got to
Yeah.
make tough decisions, and they like, oh no, it was because of COVID. Really, all the black people is because of COVID. Then you really start seeing it. So that's why you always have to
A lot of
have.
companies during the COVID have had to make a lot of tough decisions. I wish I had the research to see across the board how many people of color were let go compared to other nationalities across the board during the
Mm-hmm.
COVID experience, just to see, where everything plays out for everybody in this grand scheme of things. But I know Vegas people took a very big hit with a lot of
Yeah, because of us
casinos
tourism. Yeah,
cutting people as well. So it's been a very bad time right now during this whole
yeah.
situation. And, with everything opening back up, hopefully everybody stays safe and, continues to prosper. But it's just a matter of time until we'll know, like, exactly how hard and everybody was hit, and if we'll be able to
Yeah, for sure.
bounce back. Um, but, especially with the cannabis industry already looking like a lot of people have been saying it hasn't been living up to the hype or meeting the money expectations of what they were expecting. What would you say, with you working in a dispensary, actually one of the largest dispensaries in the
Mm-hmm.
world, or the largest one?
Yeah.
um, what would you say is some of the reasons why you feel the market, the legal market, isn't doing as well as expected?
Well, I think for one reason, the legal market, and I'm saying especially for companies like Plant 13 that are conglomerate, they're huge now, is they underestimate the consumer.
Mm.
I watch that in sales. We think consumers aren't as smart as they are. We think that consumers are going to be like, oh, I'm going to just chase the strand. Consumers are smart. And that's one of the reasons why you and I have the conversations about cannabis and what we're smoking, because we want
Mhm.
people to know what the fuck you asking for. If they can get your ass for $330 an ounce,
Yeah,
they will get you. But
easily.
most customers are very smart. So sales aren't exactly in the bud part of the business. It's not where it's going to be at, especially in Vegas. Vegas has this. Well, first of all, the grow method is different in Vegas. You live in
Hmm.
a damn bowl, so you gotta everything gotta be like you gotta pretend to be God to control the lights.
Yeah.
California can grow everything outdoors. So the only
Hmm.
increase you're gonna have in California is the 20% tax. I mean, that they normally have, but their bud is actually not as expensive as it is in Vegas. So you start realizing the two markets, there is no stability. Because
Okay.
if this was like, say this was the real market where we were talking about oranges and apples and commodities, right?
Yeah.
In the investment world, commodities are set. You have future commodities. So say I want to bet on apples for the future. I could
Hmm.
bet on a future commodity. Cannabis, the flower doesn't have that commodity stability.
Hmm.
So the market is all over the place. So
Right.
consumers know that. So sales tend to shift. If there's a big season in Vegas and a lot of conventions, maybe things are sell, but how many damn dispensaries do you have? So people are getting wiser with that. Do I go
Right.
to the most expensive place? Do I shop and go over here to Acres and just get me some, you
Yeah,
know,
it's not like LA. You don't have to drive almost an hour to get to each
exactly.
dispensary. You could actually, every dispensary is within 20, 30 minutes tops, depending where you live.
Yeah.
So
And
it's just about,
Vegas lacks a cannabis culture. And I'm gonna say this like this: when I visit Cali, I see
Oh,
goddamn people standing in line forever for cookies. They be serious for cookies. I mean, I've never seen customers so dedicated to a brand. Just recently, me and my son had, before I left town, videoed a bunch of different cookies, strands. And I said, no wonder people love cookies. Like, but it's something about the way Burner created the culture around it. Vegas does not have that for a brand. Like, we don't
yeah.
have that. Like, I try to support Mike Tyson, his brand, but we don't have
But it's
something that
different. We
is
know he doesn't
different.
come from cannabis. We know he's new,
Exactly.
so it's hard for us to buy into him as a brand, as you know what I mean? And that's where I
It
feel
is. It's a
nothing
very
against
different
Mike Tyson,
thing.
but just against people in general. If you don't come from cannabis or the
Exactly.
background of it, the true people in the industry will never really let you prosper above a certain level
That's
because
very true.
we don't trust your credibility in the
Yeah.
game. There's
Yep.
people who put a lot on the line over the years, so it's different for a millionaire or a person with money and influence to just hop into it and say, "Oh yeah, I like cannabis. It's beneficial to me." But then you were never part of the struggle, a part of the movement when people were being overly oppressed. And
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? They built the back of cannabis on the black man out there in the streets
Yep.
serving the weed. It was probably the white man
Exactly.
growing it at the point, but they needed black men to be in the
Yep.
streets distributing
Exactly.
it to even keep it relevant for cannabis to be where it's at today.
It's the
So
truth.
a lot of people talk bad about people who used to sell weed, and it's like, bro, if the people who are locked up
You didn't have
today
an
didn't
underground market, it would not
if
be
there
a
wasn't
legal
an
market.
underground market, there would be no
It would
such
not
thing
be
as
a
a
legal
legal
market.
market because it wouldn't even
It
be
would
big
not.
enough for you guys to say, "Oh, let's put our hand in
Let's
this."
put
And
that in there. Exactly.
exactly, so it's just one of those things where respect has to be given, and these brands need to understand that. Maybe giving
Yeah.
them too much game right now, but it has to come authentic, man. If you guys are gonna put some brand out there, it needs to be represented by somebody who really comes from the struggle, or that we can trust in, that we really like. Oh yeah, this dude knows his shit. He's not
Exactly.
some
Vegas
millionaire.
definitely needs that. I think that would change their sales game. People would feel committed when they came in town. They would, it's
Hmm.
no commitment. So people are looking. When they come, they like, oh, what's hot?
Right.
And if it meets their price, it doesn't. If not, it's like, let me go to the next dispensary. So that's probably why Vegas sales is not the same as California sales, pretty much.
And like you said, the culture, we don't have as many events. There's just not that
Yeah,
overwhelming feeling of, oh man, like you don't see people outside smoking weed on the corner
exactly.
like you do in California.
Yeah,
And it's based on size and how everything's set up. But then again, we're getting there. I feel like Las Vegas is definitely ramping things up with how we're trying
yeah,
to move forward. We have, some of the nicest dispensaries the world has
true.
to offer.
Yeah,
The customer service definitely needs to be better. But
yeah, yeah.
um, I think that our bud tenders out here do have a lot of knowledge. Um,
There's the smartest, and I will say that Nevada has some of the strictest training methods. We are the only state, Nevada, that trains in terpenes. If you go to
really.
California, you do not get a terpenes card. You don't know what terps are in it. I mean, I've actually did this, and they don't even give you labels. So I believe Nevada will be the standard when legalization happens for all states. They're going to follow the Nevada education for cannabis workers because it's unmatched. Like even at Planet 13, you have to go through like a 3-week classroom training. Then you go on the floor. Like it is a process. Like I had to go
Wow.
through the process. When I got hired, I had to go back through the training just like everybody else did. So I really respected them for putting me through the same training instead of you just promoting people just to promote them. I had to actually go through what every bud tender had to go through.
Right. It was now with you experiencing that the way you were talking about it a while ago, it seems like it was an overall good experience at Planet 13. Is there anything at Planet 13 that you would have changed that would have made it, I don't know, more accommodating to you, or what was your overall feeling with your experience there?
I think my initial job with merchandise, I always felt very comfortable in doing my job. So I had
Hmm.
no problem with that. I started seeing issues with supervision not being professional, just toxic professionals management, just toxic management. So I
Right.
started to keep my eye on that. That made me a little like, you know how you got a good thing going, like if somebody give you a good pay, good job, and then you like, but this thing is happening.
Mm-hmm.
That's what started to happen to me. And I started saying, okay, so how comfortable am I? If I see these things starting to happen, it's getting ready to be a little bit of a buildup. How comfortable am I? Honestly, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna be real honest with you. When I got my promotion, the whole staff was so excited to see me make it to become the staff trainer. You know, I felt like the staff was like, oh, they finally got it right. They finally put somebody in position who really cares about us. And for 1 second, my ego got in the way when my head was like, oh, this
Mm-hmm.
gonna work out. You know, Planet 13 was
Ah.
talking about building a new store in Orange County. They had already told me that I was going to be there. Listen, I was already in my head moved to Huntington Beach. I had already told my wife, let's buy
We
something.
was hyped.
We was already in Orange County and I hadn't even left Vegas yet. And I started like, damn, yeah, I'm about to go to 2 stores. Like now I'm telling my family back east, yeah, I'm about to operate 2 stores. And for that small second of my ego coming in, I missed the mark, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
I missed the signals that I should have caught on to, but I was so busy like, yeah, doing my little dance that I
Right.
missed that this was getting ready to be something that was going to happen. And when I wind up, what wound up happening is COVID happened, and on an average day, you can see 2,500 customers at Plant 13. So that week, I think we saw about 10,000 people, and I remember it being a Friday because our systems went down, like the computer systems, everybody was waiting, and it all diverted everybody to one station. And I remember going on the floor trying to explain to like 2,000 people, like, I'm sorry, our computer is acting up, it's high right now. And I
Uh-huh.
remember going home and not feeling my best. So I wound up not, calling out of work. I called them and was like, no, I can't come in. And I remember that same day, like a customer was on my social media site and didn't know at the time she was a white customer. She said, yo, Pop Mom, I just had a bad experience at Plant 13. She wrote me this list. And she said, the only reason why I go there is because of you. And she said, my husband or, whoever she was with, her dad was of age and she had him in a car. And she was just saying how Plant 13 just was not taking COVID and all the reports seriously.
Oh,
And
because
I
they
was
were still
like,
open.
yeah, they were still open. And the customer was asking, like, well, y'all know COVID is happening. Where's the hand sanitizer? Where's the gloves? Like, she was asking a manager for all these things. And he was just like, oh, no, we cool. And she was just like, she felt really some type of way. So she said she complained. She sent the complaint into the governor's office. Like, I had no idea. And she wrote me and she said, listen,
Wow.
somebody told me to reach out to you because you advocate for Planet 13. Your platform, I follow you. And I really read her thing and she was like, I'm asking for help. Can you help me? And that's how
Right.
she ended. She was like, can you help me? And I really, Smokey Pete looked at her email and was like, I was like, damn, do I
Wow.
want to get involved? I just got a promotion. Like, I really said that shit to myself. And it got so deep, I had to call my mama. And I said to her,
Whoa.
I said to my mom, I was like, well, should I say something? She said, now you done finally got your seat at the table. What you gonna do? She said, what you gonna do? You finally got a seat at the table now. What are you gonna do? And you hear somebody complain. And she said, your gut telling you what to do is the right thing, Ava. She said, do it. I was like, but I'm like I had a feeling like if I say something, I might lose my job.
It's the right
My
thing to
mom was
do.
like, my mom kept saying, you at the seat at the table. That's all she kept saying. She said, you got the seat at the table now. What do you do with that? Because that's the real thing. And I thought my mom was making a really good point of saying that sometimes we do get to seat at the table. What do we do? Because it's bigger than you just sitting at the goddamn table. And a
It's
lot of us
about
think,
doing something right at the table.
all of us think, I'm here is good enough. And my mom was saying, nope, it ain't good enough. Think deeper. So I read it again and I just sat with it. Like I didn't make a decision. I just sat with it and I said, okay, if that was your child? Like I just went through all these scenarios and I just picked up my phone and I texted her and I said, you're right. I am held accountable. If I can lift the platform up, then I should be held accountable. So what I wound up doing was tagging Planet 13, saying, hey, this customer's upset. So I wound up getting a phone call from the management, the lawyers, and the HR departments like, hey, you might be crossing some lines with the social media And which is interesting because I have all this on
What?
recordings, and yeah, I'll be dropping sound bites later on my
Yeah.
podcast in the next few weeks. And he kind of like
Plug us,
threatened.
plug us.
Yeah, I'm definitely am.
Okay.
Like he kind of threatened me. I mean, ain't no kinda. He threatened me. He was
Right.
like, "Well, I'm not telling you what to do, and I understand that's your First Amendment right." He said, "But you can't go against the company." So I clearly told him. I said, "I clearly respect what y'all saying, but I also believe that I have to make a decision, and I'm not going to allow y'all to threaten me to make that decision." So what wound up coming out of it is, of course, I got fired. I stood up to a customer.
Wow.
And this customer is now one of my good friends. To hear this lady say to me, she wound up emailing me later and said, "Oh my God, did I get you fired?" I wound up telling her, I said, "No, you got me freed. Thank you. Because you made me take a moral inventory of myself and ask me, who the hell am I? Am I going to be the person that just say I'm at the table?
So
Am I going to?
my bad. So they're
No,
saying
you got it.
that you went against the company
I went
because
against
you
the social media policy.
tagged them in the email that she had
Yep.
sent to you
Sure did.
about not being, hold on,
Not being serviced correctly. She was complaining about
because the
service.
COVID, you guys didn't have the hand sanitizer.
She didn't have we didn't have all the PPE, and it was just that they weren't taking it serious. Planet 13 had already
For
told
what,
us
did they wanted you to take it down?
Yeah, oh, they wanted me to take it down and not talk about it and not even discuss it with the staff either. So they're very blatant in the way they bully you from their
Oh
pulpit.
man,
Yeah, they're very
that's terrible. I
like
didn't know
you're
it was
either
like
with
that.
them. Yeah, you're either with them or you're done. So I knew that I could feel it because I've never gotten a phone call from the lawyer. I've never spoke. I don't even know why a lawyer would, the company, the general counsel would call the hourly worker. I have no idea. But I thank God that I got everything on recordings. And what I wound up realizing from being threatened and sharing that video with my pot peeps, that more employees were threatened too. So that's how a lot of this stuff started to come out by me speaking out. Employees started sending me their recordings because they had recordings like, "Yo, he threatened me too." They let me, like, I was like, what the hell? I thought it was just me. It's never just you in a situation. You're never alone when you get let go of. So what I realized was what I was going to do while they wasn't thinking nothing of me, I was going to start collecting all the people they discarded and start reaching out to every last person and saying, "Hey, we're together. I got your back." And I started forming a coalition of people that none of them will stand against me because I checked on them every week and said, "Hey, how you doing? Are you eating? Do you have food?" Some people got, they even stopped their unemployment. Like it was just the cruelty behind this stuff is just, it's
Wow.
just hateful, it's spiteful, and I
That's
just couldn't
exactly the
believe
opposite of what the community and what this industry is supposed to
it's
be
about.
about. And that's why when everybody was like, vote yes on 2, I was one of those motherfuckers in the back screaming like, y'all stupid as hell, don't do it. Like,
Yep.
it was a trap. This was the biggest trap hole ever because now it's more regulated. They have
Yep.
more hands on top of us. When it was underground, it wasn't like, oh, you guys can't throw this cannabis event. It wasn't
Yeah.
like they were like searching down our necks for it because they didn't know that it was really relevant. And now that it's, legal, recreational, they know there's a market for it. They're looking at people's Instagram. They want to know who's got it and who's doing this. And it's just
Exactly.
like, you guys let them into the world we never had to let them into. It could have always
Exactly.
been underground. It was always technically recreational. You always were able to legally get it. Nobody was cracking down on the local weed, man. People been selling weed for God knows how long.
Exactly.
So it's just
And you
like,
got politicians. Like what I realized with Planet 13, you got the ex-mayor or city council of Henderson. Now you got white politicians getting involved, and they really don't care about the minority community at all. All they see is dollar signs, and that's it. So they don't even, and it's amazing because even with Plan 13, you can vote for who you want to. We military, we support whatever you want to vote for. But when you got a president and people back his agenda and nothing else can be seen in that, like it's all about, no, that's fake news. Like the agenda becomes the president's agenda at the cannabis spot. And where I'm confused at, and I challenge employees and other people to look at this, how can dispensaries be aligned with a politician who does not support cannabis? That's the part that I'm behooved by. Like, how do you support this guy and he does not support you in your cannabis ventures. That just let me know as an owner what you are lined up with. Like, that is amazing that you will support his agenda, but he does not support cannabis at all. At all. But somehow you still push his agenda. He's against our agenda. I just don't understand it.
This is like, if you think about the cycle, it was like a perfectly well executed play. It was demean the black man for using and selling cannabis,
Mm-hmm.
create a negative connotation with
Campaign, the
cannabis
propaganda. Yep.
and the
brands.
propaganda,
Yep.
and now that it's cool and everybody learns that it's hip. Now the white community and all the other communities coming around, oh yeah, weed is this great thing. Like,
Mhm.
man, hold on, y'all owe us an apology. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? This is
really
that,
do.
because you guys really sat there and talked the most shit about cannabis and black people smoking weed for the longest amount of time, and now it's the most accepted thing in the
To
whole
do.
fucking
To
world. Now
do.
everybody
It's the
smokes
most
weed.
accepted thing to do.
Now everybody does CBD. Now
Yep.
smoking weed is the cool thing to do, but yet motherfuckers was locked up and they're still locked up to this day for this
Still to
shit,
this
bro.
day.
And I still
Still for these
my
minor
energy
crimes.
still, whenever I have time to talk about it with somebody, I always bring it up, because it's just the type of things, the type of plays they do to backdoor you, and
Mhm.
it'll always be that way. And that's why when I was thinking about getting into the legal cannabis market, I was like, yeah, I want to kind of get into it. I know a lot about weed, blah blah blah. I'm into it. Let's do it. But I always felt like I wasn't gonna ever get my fair shake. And why to this
Yeah.
day am I still not in the legal cannabis market? I don't know, but
Yeah.
you can't say that I haven't applied. I've gone to a bunch of interviews, and it's just like, damn, how is somebody so relevant and doing what they're doing in the community now without even being on the legal side of the market, who's doing so much basically for the legal side of the market? I'm doing
Mhm.
reviews. I've done a little bit of kind of the stuff, a little bit in the lane you've done, but never to the extent you've done it. But still, I talk about the legal cannabis market. I still promote different dispensaries and do different things.
Mhm.
So it's just like, damn, how could somebody like myself not be in the industry? And I just kind of like took it for what it was. You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
not trying to give the same opportunities like
And
they
they're
said
not
they
gonna
were.
see you for who you are. And I realize that more and more, like when they see us, like the title of that movie, that on Netflix about the Central Park, they really don't see us. And I realized that from coming through Planet 13, when they hired me as the merch girl, they didn't see me for Pop Mile 420, the content that I was producing. They didn't see that I had two African American sons who were helping produce cannabis content. Well, you and I do. We produce cannabis content. It ain't a
Right.
lot out there, but they're never going to come in and say, "Hey, let's run a YouTube and hire some folks who are out there doing it." They're never going to put us in those positions for
Mm.
that. So I'm always grateful that my son kept me grounded with the platform that we created. So while I was trying to create that second lane of working inside, that just blew up on me. That just was not for me. I told people the minute I started working in there, I permed my hair. Like, it wasn't short and curly like this. Everything went wrong for me. Like, I was not meant to work inside the dispensary. I'm
was
just not, like, it just wasn't meant to be. It just had its time. And I'm just glad that I took away an education, because what I took away from Planet 13 was they don't understand what they taught me in sales, margins. I mean, I ate every sales report up that I could. I understand what the margins are, what the markups are. I mean, my skills are so unmatched now. I now own High Times magazines. I was just doing a
Right.
a few weeks ago. So I just take money and I shift it to somebody else.
How
And
much is
see,
their stock going for right now?
well, their stock privately, when I bought into it a year and a half ago, was $11 a share.
Mm.
So what High Times wound up doing a year and a half ago, or about 2 years ago, anyone who was an active attendant of their Hot Time Cups, they sent out a letter to and saying, "Hey, you guys have supported us through all the High Time Cups." I used to be a High Times Cup goer, and they said, "We want you to be the first investor." So it was maybe about 2,000 of us, and they was like, "We offering 11 a share." I didn't think that it would go through, but we just got letters this week that High Times is definitely hitting the big board. So
Yep.
I got my family as always. We bought a bunch of shares in the company. I'll send you the link and send it to your followers
Definitely.
in case they want it. But I tell you, it was nice to talk to High Times, and it was funny on the call. It's three white gentlemen, and one of us asked a question and said, I see 3 white guys, where's the diversity? And the CEO started to tell us about the diversity. He said, well, we got an African American. He said, wait a minute, that's a little racist. I don't want to say that. And I was like, oh, I was like shocked. He said, we can use more diversity. We don't have enough. He said, so all y'all investors, everybody send their stuff in. I said, I like this. Because that was important to say. Because if you
To
start
feel
to
that
point it out,
there has to be a shift. That's all. You know what I mean? And I don't want it to seem like we're not better than anybody else on this planet. But at the same time, all we've ever wanted since the beginning of time was a fair shake. Never to be
that's it.
treated like we were less of a person. And you know what sucks is, like, if it wasn't those hundreds of years that we were set back, we would have people in these powerful, prominent places to where we wouldn't have to say, hey man, can we get a fair shake? It would be more so like there's diversity across the board. And that's where us understanding that we have to start building our own institutions and building our own businesses. There is importance in buying into these companies as well, but at some point we need to put our dollars together and start our own form of Hive Times and start our
For
own
sure.
something to where we don't have to say, hey man, can I get my fair shake? We need, my buddy was telling me earlier today, and he owns HB Can You, a very, if you don't follow them or know who they are, they're a big group down south. They're nationwide, worldwide, man. But I talked with the owner, Huey, one of the owners, and he was telling me this is monopoly over chess, because we need to stop trying to play chess with them and just own our own piece of the board. If you own the whole board, you don't have to play chess and check. You know what I mean? Play the chess pieces with people. So
and you
it was
don't
a big.
have to feel bad about it. I realize the more authentic, educated power you get, I don't feel bad when a company calls me and try to say, we're gonna let you. You ain't doing nothing. I already had something. Like just like what you saw this week on my platform. If y'all speak out, I'm gonna speak out for y'all. If y'all want the general manager gone, we gonna get her gone. Because I'm gonna show y'all the power and what I got. And the power of what I got, I know how to use the right verbiage. The right verbiage is publicly traded company. When you're a publicly traded company, you can't treat people any old type of way. Because I'm getting ready to call every last shareholder. And no
Let them
problem.
know.
And let them know, like, oh, this is what you endorse. And I'm going to keep writing that same letter every week until you get it. So, like I told the general manager, when they let you go, boo boo, you was already the scapegoat. You just didn't know your place. They already had you in that middle position to be the middle fall guy. So don't get upset because you fucked up. That's what y'all always fuck up. Y'all do your stuff in broad daylight. As soon as we call it out, fire, fire, you gonna point your gun at no, boo boo. You was doing all of that. Nobody can't get you fired but yourself. So if you didn't understand that 13 was going to use a female as a general manager and make you the scapegoat, then you don't know who yourself is. That's why having your own shit allows you to understand who you are. I teach my sons that every day. When we put out videos, we need to understand what ad revenues mean. We need to understand what CPMs is. Every cent that come in, yes, I want you to write it down. I don't care what the company said it's supposed to be. We need to check our numbers because you start realizing they'll cheat you out of $30 every month. At the end of the goddamn year, you cheated out almost $400. You ain't about to cheat me because that could have been 20 stocks that I bought. So I don't play them games. I make sure that I write things down, I record them, I repeat them, and I realize that the cannabis world is not ready today for super professionalism as some of us have. They want to still act like, oh, we're stoners. No, if we're going to be publicly traded, like you said, we want this to be a fair shot. I want to be treated professional. I didn't come here to act no fool.
No.
I didn't come for that. I'm trying to make a place for my grandchildren one day. And I think that's what white owners don't understand is when we come in and we try, just no different than police structures, we try to come in and make a place for our grandchildren one day. They don't see us that way. They don't see that, hey, she's here and she's trying to do something great because she got sons and they're going to have kids. They never see us that way, but they see themselves like that because they got nepotism running all through the company. They hire they wife's stepson. They'll hire the wife's step cousin who just got out of jail who needs a job. They don't go through those extents for them to have nepotism, but they don't see us to just one of us to get in there so we can say, hey, I got a son. They don't see it like that. They don't respect you like that. So I realized that creating this platform more than ever just means the world to have something that's a space that I can converse with folks or disagree with folks and
Right.
figure out how to, generate income through that because you can. So the lessons I've learned, I don't take them back at all.
Hmm.
But I will never, as long as I'm breathing, allow anyone to be mistreated. I just feel like this industry is special.
Yeah.
We all have that special story about it. I have plenty of family members who've been locked up for weed. I got cousins and family in jail that's like, that's my cuz. She know a lot of shit about weed. I just feel like I wear them on my back. And
Right.
that's what keeps me going through all of it, is that I know it's people out east that just, my family rooting for me. I'm out in Nevada by myself, you know what I mean? Trying to carve a lane that we don't even know how to carve. We don't know how to picture. It's like asking us what justice looks like. We don't fucking know what it looks like because we ain't never gotten it.
Nope.
So even in this, we try to figure out, what does justice in cannabis look like for us? So when you hear other people's story, I feel like I take that on like, yo, that happened to you? Damn. Then if that happened to you, that could happen to me. So that's how I look at that. So even when white folks come to me and be like, yo, why is it that you care about us? I'm like, because y'all don't care enough about us. We always care about y'all. So
Hmm.
even though y'all ignorant, somebody got to do the Jesus thing, because he was my brother. And I
Right.
believe that he wanted to leave half of y'all asses back, but he had to keep answering to his daddy, like, oh, I gotta go back and talk to this person. So I try to do the right thing. I really do. But it gets difficult. It does. But the
Yeah.
best thing could have happened was Plan 13 let me go. Because they showed me who they was. They
Yeah.
really did.
They showed their true colors, and that's
They
what a
showed
lot of
their true
people are
colors.
doing. And that's it's a messed up situation with George Floyd and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But right now during this situation, it was a awakening, and this is a part of that shift that's been happening over the last couple months. It's just been a big shift going on, and you see the energy shifting, and a lot of companies are coming out, and we're seeing who. And this ain't even just in cannabis. This is
Yeah.
everywhere. You're seeing
Oh,
everybody
yeah.
for who they are and how they feel about just people in general. I feel like the situation that happened with George Floyd wasn't a black on white thing. It was more
No.
so just a human compassion thing. You don't even have to
Exactly. I'll
be
be
like
asking.
black to have compassion for a person
Passion.
who was getting a knee put to his back for almost
Exactly.
9 minutes, and then he killed
It's
basically on camera. And the
never.
person who did it had no remorse. So it's just one of those things where if you see these companies and they don't have anything positive or haven't been backing, like a lot of companies are donating money, and a lot of those companies still are doing stuff behind closed doors that
Yeah.
aren't what they're promoting. So we do have to take note of that. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, you are seeing different companies and different entities just show who they really are in these times. So it's a great opportunity for us to see who these companies are
Yeah.
and stop
Hold them
funding.
accountable. Yeah, you gotta hold them accountable. I realized through this last week with all the stuff that was coming out about Plan 13, it was so much layers of stuff people just didn't know. Like when somebody sent me the video of the African American man being tased, that
Oh yeah,
just sucked
that was
my
crazy.
stomach out. And to know that my son had to hunt the video down, he found it on YouTube. It really didn't get a lot of traction, but we finally hunted down the gentleman that'll be coming this weekend. I'm going to interview him, but it
Ooh,
took,
deep.
yeah, I had to find it, because I feel like that's another thing we do. We be like, oh my God, that's horrendous, but what did you do? Like I was
Right.
put call on Instagram, like, if y'all know who this person is, please. I mean, I got so many phone calls from other dispensaries who told accounts about the story. They was like, this
Wow.
gentleman went to another dispensary and was telling people what happened to him. But the gentleman told me, he was like, we were so in shock, we didn't think. We was like, why did that happen to you? Like, he was in shock telling the story. So you just realize it's so many different layers to this thing. So not only are employees being persecuted, paying customers are. So I just wanted to put a light to all of it. So I'm like, listen, I told the gentleman, I said, I would love to interview you. Just the fact that you need justice in speaking it. Like the mere fact that no one listened, you didn't get a chance to have a police complaint because whatever the police said, people
That's
have to
crazy.
speak.
That's crazy.
People have to speak, and companies are trying to shut you up and say, don't say anything or don't do this. It's insanity. So I did track him down, and we're interviewing him on Friday, and
Right on.
I just want
Much
him to have
respect to
it.
you for that. That's crazy.
I had to. I told my son, I said, listen, I didn't even sleep when I flew out here. I was just like, I have to find this guy. And I put out every call. I said, listen, any staff that worked there, it was old staff that came forward. It was like, I remember him. He didn't do anything. I'm like, oh my God. So by the time he told me his account, I already knew the whole story because different people had told me, different stores. I'm like, wow, this guy needs a place to share this because that's trauma. We don't
Right.
realize what American men and even our women, us watching this, is trauma to all of us. And he just didn't deserve it. So I just want to make sure not
Any
only
paying
for
customer
employees,
doesn't deserve that. If it'd
not
be
at
one
all.
thing
Not
if he was stealing or robbing something,
what are
but
you doing it
yeah,
at the weed joint? Like seriously, especially
come
at
on.
that place. It's like Fort Knott. You can't do nothing at Planet Fitness. I
Exactly.
can't even imagine being tased at a weed spot. I just don't know
I would
what you
never
do.
I would never have enough comfortability to go inside one again.
That's
It
what
would
I'm
throw me off.
saying. That's
And they
insane.
expect us to spend top dollar in these dispensaries, but then be treated lesser than a person when you
Exactly.
slam me to the ground and
Ticket
you taste.
sale, the average ticket sale people buy is $150 to $200. The average ticket sales. Everyone who
Wow.
comes through this spends an average of $150 a ticket.
Damn.
That's how much money is coming. When you talk about companies making $60 million a year, that's where it comes from. So they owe us way more respect than they're giving us, customers. And I just cannot tolerate it. So I realized that the passion I have for myself and my coworkers, I'm like, no, I gotta have that for everybody. It ain't just like, oh, I'm on the inside. Now this dude just got violated. What am I gonna do for him? So you just realize you open a floodgate, and when you're supposed to just do the right thing, it just all busts open on you. So it's been my honor to hear stories of just people most painful, vulnerable moments, and they would
Mm,
share that with me and trust me to do something. So
right.
I feel kind of honored to be able to do this other than working in the dispensary. I see like my who I am is shifting now. It
Mm,
went from, oh, I got this job and this title. Because we
right.
all go through that ego shit where it's a title. I work at the dispensary. I'm the
Yeah.
trainer, staff
Uh,
trainer. My name is A. You know, that's
yeah.
how I'm going to be working into. Now it's about something way bigger than your ass. Like I realized, like that, bitch, this ain't about you no more. Like, this is totally not about me no more. It's about other people. And I think that's the way your life is supposed to when you're really in it. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that I'm at this point now. It's like, okay, it's a new dawn for me. It's like, okay, all these people need help. How do I help them? How do I direct them? So right now, I'm just in a process of making sure that I get all the resources I can. You know, I'm reaching out to Norm. I'm reaching out to marijuana policy projects out of DC just to
Mm,
make sure any resource I can pass on. Because the best thing I heard this week was there's no more, we should no more be thinking about you need one leader like a
mm,
snake. What we need is Medusas. We need
right.
everybody to be empowered with the same information. Each one teach
Correct.
one.
Correct.
Because what happens is that one leader go out there, they get their head machete, and the rest watch the head go down, and then nobody else wants to step up. So if you empower everybody with the same information, then all of you can stand together. So that's basically where I'm at. I'm just trying to make sure any information I come by, I share it. Like, hey, let's do it together. If you don't know what I do, I'm gonna do it with you because I don't know
You
what the
are
hell I'm doing either.
you are very informative with your Terp Tuesdays and
I try to be.
the different pieces of content that you make. With all this different stuff coming up, and you just saying that you're changing. Do you feel like your platform is going to change? Are you still going to produce some of the same content and add on, or what do you feel is next for Pop Mom and her movement along this cannabis journey?
Well, I do want to keep some of the staples like Turk Tuesday, THC, because that's an educational piece where we get to,
Hmm.
have dialogue about the actual plant. And
Right.
THC Thursdays is always fun because we got the device. YouTube, I'm always looking for more interesting entertainment pieces to just make things more lively.
Yeah.
The biggest piece we want to throw back in, which me and my son started a while ago, which was podcasting. I believe we're at a day and time now where we need to listen more. Like it's cool to do the Skype, it's cool to do the live, but what I realized last week from the controversy of conversations that I was having, the GM, she coming at me. I got
Right.
pot peeps who defended me, that it becomes like a boxing match. And what's going to happen with social media, people on your platform, they're going to pick your side. And then they become a troll to the person that is on the opposition
Mm,
side.
yeah.
I don't want that because I want to be able to hear you. I want to really be able to listen. So I was talking with my team and I said, yo, we got to bring the podcast back because like they said, the revolution won't be televised. We need to bring people in, kind of get them in a place where we can get them to listen to some stuff too. It's good to watch the visual, but what I want to do is bring back that listening piece where we can really hear each other and you don't have to see faces because we judge stuff like that. If we look at somebody and be like, oh, she white, I'm not going to talk to her. You know, the whole audience is judging everything. So what I want to do is bring some content in where we're listening. We're really listening to the dialogue, the exchange of that conversation, and we in it. Like I want my voice and the person's voice to capture you where you felt like you was watching it, but you listening. So I'm just going to have some add-ons to the program. I want to keep those staples. I think they're fun. They're timeless. But I think that the podcast piece is actually, I think might be some of the biggest stuff we do because it just allows people to listen at their own leisure, which I like. You know, you don't have to feel like you got to go on live. Everybody on live on a button. This gives you a chance to say, oh, if I'm doing dishes, I'm going to listen to a little podcast. So I want to kind of work with that for a little bit, just especially over the summer, like just really get people to listen because we're not listening to each other. We're really not. So that'll be my new add-on piece.
All right, I'd like to hear that. I'm gonna definitely check out that podcast and see what you have to say on that. Will that be still more cannabis related, or will that just be more on some life things?
That will be cannabis related, but it's gonna give us the real life topics. Like I feel like sometimes we can be like, oh, you know, you can give a topic, but it's not tangible. So what I want to do is make the podcast more tangible. So if I'm talking or speaking to you about, you know, about discrimination or toxic supervision, I want to be able to produce a piece of vocal content that you can hear, maybe something that was recorded or actually speak to someone. Like I want to have people in the cannabis industry come on and give their stories. So it'll be a place for everybody in the cannabis industry because everybody doesn't feel like they want to go and come on YouTube, you know, or you know how it is. Everybody don't feel comfortable enough to come on to your show. So I think the podcast will make anybody in the industry feel comfortable where their voice
is heard.
Yeah, because that's what everybody
not on camera.
Yeah, and
I still get nervous today on camera. It's just
we
one of those
all do.
things. Yeah, you have to get over. You have to be real professional about it and different vibes. But the podcasts are taking off. It's a lot easier to produce podcasts now. Yeah. It gets put to a lot of different platforms. The audiences are a lot larger. So definitely that's a smart move. I might look into moving some of my content to a podcast type of format.
Split them up. Do some on a podcast like a Joe Rogan and do the video version because you love your video version. Do them both.
Yeah.
Because it helps both ways. Like it's a big listening audience that is not a visual audience out there. So it's kind of interesting. If you look at the age group, like my age groups, it's funny. Like most of my friends are not YouTube watchers because they're in the mid 40s, but they listen to podcasts. So it's another group out there that we all could be capturing. And it's a large cannabis content out there with podcasting, like Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson. There's another one with Matt Barnes and them, the one that ESPN, my son and them watch, Up in Smoke. I think it's called something Up in Smoke or something Smoke. So it is a lot more content out there. So it's very interesting. You should definitely look into it.
Now, with you growing your platform, what's some advice you would give to people to grow their platform, and how do you get the transfer over from Instagram to YouTube or vice versa? And what's just some small tips you would tell somebody who's trying to gain a following to be heard?
Well, the first advice I always give people is do something. Everybody be like, I want to do a YouTube, just do it. Just fuck it up. I tell people, just do the worst thing you can do and just sit back and watch yourself and be like, oh, I could do that better. So just first advice is always to just push the button. Don't overthink it. Don't think you need to be perfect. Don't think you need 3 goddamn social lights. You will figure that stuff out as you go. Just do it. So that's the first one. And when you're doing it, just make sure you are committed to it. Somebody once told me it's easy to make one video, but how do you keep making the rest? So that comes with a commitment. So I had to realize, because I was one of them people, I would put one out a month. Like, that's how I started. Like, one of my son be like, Mom, what are you going to do? Like, when people ask the questions, you're going to answer them like 2 months later. So you got to have a commitment to it. So you got to say to yourself, am I committed to once a month? Am I committed to once a week? Whatever that commitment is. It may just really be once a month. commit to it. So make sure you put it out there, commit to it. The next piece of advice I would tell people is definitely believe in your content. Like if you don't believe in it, it just
Who
it
else is
comes
wrong?
off. People pick that up like they could smell shit on a stick. Like they really can. They will call you out. So just definitely make sure that you understand this is what your passion is, and you're gonna be into it. Like you're gonna
Mhm.
give it some of that. So the commitment, all that work. I think the next piece of advice I would tell people, and this is gonna sound crazy, is never watch your videos. Never watch. No, I'm serious. I don't watch my videos. I know that's gonna sound really crazy. You're gonna play this on your channel. People will be like, what?
What?
I'm there to film them. So I always have to tell my son this. I'm like, yo, I was there when I filmed it. Now it went to the editing process. Y'all did whatever y'all did with editing. I
Right.
don't need to watch your bells and whistles. You know that. Editing
Yeah,
is the
yeah, yeah.
bells and whistles. I did the raw footage. So I
Yeah, I
know
just what was said.
so I actually, and this comes from, don't get me wrong, I didn't start this with YouTube. I've done a lot of comedy work. I've done all comedy stages.
Okay,
I came to the
that's
same
dope.
comedy places with Kevin Hart, and I never watched my recorded film. I just never
Mhm.
did. And I would take comedy classes, and one of the rules this guy told us, he was like, don't ever watch your stuff because you'll get stuck in your ego, and then you'll be trying to perfect something that you really don't need to perfect. So just be natural. And that's how I learned how to do comedy. I never would watch my recordings. People would send them to me. I go to comedy clubs, they record them and send them. My family will watch it. They would say, "Oh my God." I would never watch them. So now my son, we have what, 40, 50 videos on YouTube.
Mm.
It might be maybe a handful I've watched. It was funny. My son just said the other day, he was like, "Are you watching it tomorrow?" I was like, "No, I'm sure you're going to tell me what you did to it." Because
Yeah.
what I like is to have this feeling when my audience is watching it and they're shocked at stuff. I like to respond with a shock, like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
I
that
didn't.
happened." Like I
Yeah.
be thinking this shit is funny, like because I really didn't watch it. So it gives me a chance to be authentic with them. And I
Mm.
tell them that I'm like, yo, I didn't even watch it. Like I don't even know what they did with the editing. I just trust my editors enough. And it
Right.
allows them to be them. I don't like to work with folks and I gotta be on your back. So my sons and them had to learn how to edit years ago and they started playing with different software. So I wanted them to I wanted them to know I trusted them. So when they
Mm.
make edits and they put it up, I'm like, I trust you.
Yeah,
So
my boy,
it,
I trust his edit. I don't really have to coach him through nothing.
nope.
It's like just put the finished
Yep,
product
that's it.
out.
Listen, you could send it from across country and they're gonna know what to do. So even my youngest son, he started to follow, we started to create a pattern with the
Mm.
two of them because I wanted the oldest son to work on YouTube, but I wanted him to be able to start to show his brother. So I was like, listen, we're gonna create a film and production, but you gotta make a standard. So that's what we started to do. So my youngest son knows how to flow right into it. So he'll handle Instagram. I split them up. One to handle YouTube, the other handle Instagram. So that's how we kind of, but I never watch the films. I never watch them. I love when the audience is like, oh my God, how did this happen? Then I have to go back and watch and be like, oh
Like
shit, how did you make that happen, Clay? Like I'm just shocked when it happened. So I,
that's
I, I tell people all the time, don't watch your videos. You'll get stuck in your head trying to perfect something that's not there. Let it be natural. Let your audience. I realize I learn more through the audience than anything because they're the ones that tell me, hey, we want to see this, or hey, could you do this or show us this? Now I got show ideas. But if I was stuck in my head thinking I knew everything, I wouldn't be able to have that effect where I could hear them the way I need to. So I think a lot of that for me comes from not watching the film. Other tidbits I would give people is just a lot of this stuff is just be natural, especially with YouTube. A lot of people try to overemphasize it. Your channel don't pick up if you're not natural and you're not into it. So I would just tell people keep it as authentic as you can. Don't think you got to do something longer just to make things or people happy. I really don't get into that. Cannabis is tricky, as you know, because we don't get the ad revenues that other people get. So we're on our own when we're producing content. So I try to just make sure whatever content that is produced 10 years from now is classic. I
yeah.
try to make sure. So I want people to know, make classic content. You don't want something that, I want something 10 years ago, my grandkids could pull up and be like, yo, my grandma made a video on how to make a motivator. I want it to
Right.
be. So that's the difference with YouTube. I think my YouTube game is a long-term game. That's how I play YouTube for
Yeah.
me. Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, all of those are my short term because those are more trendy. Like
Yeah.
what's hot, what's going on right now. Yeah, people want to see what potency they weed is, so I throw that up on there. So
Right.
with IG and I like to have a little bit of more fun because the audience is different. I
Mhm.
realize your
That's
audience is
smart.
different. YouTube, your audience is
Yeah.
committed. If you say Tuesday at 7, they there
They
Tuesday at
want to
7.
be there Tuesday at 7. They treat
Instagram,
that just like cable TV.
exactly. Instagram, you fighting with who's on Instagram Live that's popular. So I always not over exceeded on Instagram. I try to make sure I give them just the content they want, keep it fresh, keep it fun. But I learned a lot about a younger audience on Instagram. I realized that the audience is a little different from me than YouTube. So I mainly I tell people if I'm giving them advice, pay attention to the audience that you're speaking to. Just pay attention because it is a difference with Instagram. Like my Facebook audience is my grandma friends from church that just want to see what her grandbaby doing and just
Yeah.
making sure she's selling weed. She like, oh, my grandbaby don't sell weed. She teaching them people about the cannabis plant. So my grandma can handle that on Facebook. I realize Facebook is different than
Yeah.
IG. So just knowing your audience on all of the platforms you're going to use, but they're all interchangeable. I realize if you don't overthink it, you know what I mean? You can use the same content, Facebook, IG, pair that up. So it's just about kind of like matching up your content. We try to keep a schedule. We do think tanks
It's
and
hard for me sometimes. I try to stay on schedule, but it's
it gets
like
tough.
the pandemic did mess up my schedule and my timing a little bit, but nobody wanted to interview. They didn't want to meet up. I was like, goodness gracious, come
But
on.
that's where opportunity comes to, Smokey P. And I
Yeah.
realized that too. Like we were so used to traditional, oh, let me meet up in your studio type stuff. Now we like, yo, how do we Zoom? I had to ask my son, how do I video from the East Coast to he like, all right, mom, let me figure. So now it's bringing us into a different space. So
Yeah, this is my first Skype, so I'm just using technology. I've never used
and this is gonna be
like
fun.
that.
Like you're gonna realize you can use what's the one? House Party. It's all kinds of apps.
House party. That sounds like
House Party
cool.
can put a bunch of people on the screen. Like it's the funnest thing you ever do. All the young kids are using House Party. So you got to keep
the kids are doing these days.
what they doing. So at least now we're learning new, software to use in order to continue our platform. We're not stopping it. So that's what I like. I was like, this will work. So that's all. Another one I would tell people they don't think about, use the Weed Tube. I don't know if you on the Weed Tube.
I've signed up for YouTube.
I started playing, and me and my son are still learning that platform, which is very difficult. The algorithm is different, but we get frustrated with it because it's not as well developed. But still a great idea. Just think in 10 years if that platform does last, and me and you on the Weed Tube. Remember when we put on our little show on that thing? You never know. So I find it interesting to see young people come together because the story of the Weed Tube came from people getting kicked off of YouTube with weed content. So them kids came together and said, let's just make the Weed Tube. So I just find all of these platforms to be, you could take a little bit
adventure in themselves for sure.
They definitely are.
They all have something different to provide, just like the cannabis game.
Yep.
So with us, we've been on here for quite a while.
I know.
You're definitely my longest interview, but I've been enjoying it.
You got to chop this up.
Yeah. Oh man, I ain't gonna chop it up. I'm gonna post the whole full thing for them, unedited. That's how I usually do most of my episodes. The only time I cut is if I do a dab and I'm coughing too hard, and even then they didn't let the cameras roll this season, so it's been all bad. But
I've been checking you out.
Yeah, you've been seeing a little bit here and there, but I gotta figure out how to really start expanding out and really reaching more people. I just want to give people more. So I have a lot of more ideas that I'm trying to get out there, but I just kind of want to wait until it grows a little bit. But I think at the same time, what I'm learning from you is it doesn't really matter because it can blow up at any moment. So it's never a bad moment to keep pushing forward with new ideas and concepts.
And trust your gut. Like, you know what I'm saying? The hardest part for you was just to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember when I met you that day and you was that same person you are today. Like, yo, I got a platform too. Follow me there. Like I remember that day and I was like, yo, this dude is cool. Like, keep that same energy because you can't do anything wrong. Seriously. It's no, the only thing you can do wrong is not doing anything. So keep at it. It's going to only take one video and that's it. And even then, you find yourself, if one video blow up, now you're trying to chase that video. Like when one of the videos hit 100K, my son was like, all right, we got to find. I was like, yo, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure to try to keep maxing yourself out. So I
Mhm.
realized is let's just make it comfortable. If everybody in the house staying at home, let's only make videos in the house with a machine. Like you got to just make it comfortable and make it real. So you're gonna be great. Don't overestimate yourself. We're gonna be
I
talking about this.
appreciate
Yeah,
that.
you're gonna be. Yo, remember when I was working? No, I knew you was gonna blow up bigger than that. Like, come on. Like you
I
Smokey
know.
P. Everybody know who you are. You be getting people from LA. You had the chick from LA on there. I was like,
Oh
yo,
yeah, my girl
she's
Gina J.
I was about to say she a big deal. You know, she a big
Yeah,
deal.
yeah,
She
that's
a big
good
deal. I
people.
follow her.
Yeah, she's definitely making headway and
Hell
putting on
yeah.
for our people. So I'm very
Yep.
proud of her. And whenever I get time to link with her, it's always a good time. So
Yep.
if you haven't met her yet, we'll try to get that linked up and
For
link you
sure.
with
So you got the
things.
pieces.
Yeah,
You there?
we're gonna try to make something happen, man. But what's next for you since the whole Planet 13 thing? What's been next for you as far as what you see next and what you want to do um, in cannabis or just
Hmm.
professional?
Well, I want to continue to platform, continue to build content. Like I told you earlier, I want to make sure I'm bringing back some podcast pieces to make sure I'm able to let
Hmm.
different people speak out without the live visual stuff. I also want to see cannabis have workers have rights. It's
Okay.
bothering me. It's like bothering my soul at night that
So is there a
workers.
union in place?
There is a union in place.
Okay.
Actually, I had some phone calls out of DC and California's union. They have the food union that
Hmm.
cannabis belongs to. So I've been reaching out to Nevada and letting people know, like, hey, it's a union. All y'all got to do is sign up. So tomorrow, Wednesday, there's actually a virtual meeting on Facebook with Nevada Norm, and they're going to be talking about what kind of rights, what do y'all want, health care, salary, wages. So I'm
Okay.
looking forward to just being a part of the information sharing of that.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest things I realize with right now with just inequality happening across the board, that it's a good time to be a part of causes that are going to
Yeah.
support.
Have our
Yeah.
voices heard
Have
now in
voice
the early
heard.
stages
Yeah.
instead of
ex-
trying to come in at a later time to say this. Oh
Exactly.
no, no, I was there from the
Exactly.
beginning. And
Exactly.
that's what we have to do, pioneer this week. And
Exactly.
that's why I'm always stay with it, because I know if we stay with it, when you look back 10, 20 years from now, we'll be pioneers. And what damn, they'll be like, in the beginning of this
Yep.
weed shit, it was Pop Mom, Smokey P, you know
Yep.
what I'm saying? So it's name, you do it for the long haul. And that's what
Exactly.
I've been doing this now for like 2 years, about around the
Yep.
same time you've been doing your mission. So
Yep.
it's definitely something where it's just like we stay vigilant and stay on top of
Yep.
it. It'll only
That's
keep
it.
growing up from here. So
That's
um,
it. And that's all, right now, that's all I can ask for. It's funny, I've always had like 1,000 things on my plate. Between the platform and now having a cause, I feel satisfied. I feel like, wow, I could be in this cause.
mhm.
And really just be great with that. Like, so right now I just feel very consumed and wanting to be engulfed by it. So just making sure everybody is getting treated fairly, and just make sure I'm bringing a voice to our community. I've been reaching out to new other brands. Like, I don't know if you know about Gas House,
Yeah,
certain brands.
I know about
So I
Gas House,
reached them.
Kingston.
So I be in people inboxes like, Gas House, are you going to come to Vegas? Like, are you going to make a store? Like, we need more Black brands out
That
there.
would
So
be
I'm like
big.
on a mission to just connect. Just a while ago, I was on the internet and just trying to find Black owned companies that's making cannabis t-shirts, just
Mm,
anything to support them. I'm inboxing folks like, hey, if you need somebody to wear your t-shirt, I'll
I
wear
got
it. Just, make a discount for everybody else. I'll buy it full price, but just give
you. Yeah.
something else to somebody else. So that's just the mission I've been on, just trying to figure out who doing it, where they at, how do we piece this all together. I'm even writing, it's a lot of, I don't know if you know this young lady. She's the youngest African-American woman to own a medical marijuana dispensary out of Maryland. And I'm
Oh,
always inboxing her, like, tell me what I need to do better. Tell me what should I, and she like, you on it, like you doing it. Like, you just trying to connect to other figures in the game and just say, what else am I supposed to be doing? Because you don't know if you're doing it right or not. So I'm just trying to look for
what I
other
do like
leaders.
about Instagram is it does give you the ability to connect with the right people at the click of a
Exactly.
button. You just got to be able to know how to navigate and search through the right people. And
Yep.
sometimes if your algorithm is set up the right way, those certain people should be popping up on your feed, and
Exactly.
you should be connecting to them. So I can't commend Instagram for that, about the ability to where
Yeah.
we've been able to create such vast networks, just by on our cell phones, not even having to travel.
Mhm.
Think about business 30 years ago. You actually had to travel somewhere to
Yeah.
network and meet somebody, you know what I mean? Or it was via phone or email. It wasn't like social media and seeing
Yeah.
how they are, how they live, what they're really about. So we live in a great time where we need to utilize what we have in front of us and
Mhm.
capitalize why it's here, because we never know when Instagram will go bye-bye and
Yeah.
what
Because
will
the
be next.
revolution might not be televised for real.
Yeah, because right now it seems like it's too much overwhelming information coming up
Yeah.
where they could shut it down because they don't like what's coming out of it.
That's very true.
And we're starting to use it for what it should be used for, instead of all the
Yeah.
funny memes. It's been like
Yeah.
I
Or
haven't
twerk.
seen
We
many
haven't
funny
been
memes
twerking.
over the last. If you notice that there hasn't been like too
I
many
have.
funny memes in the last
That
60
twerking. No
days.
one's
No
twerking.
twerking.
I love that we forgot about twerking. Like, I
Like,
love that Cardi B's not twerking. I'm actually gonna vote if she actually runs for president. I would vote for Cardi B because she's. It's not even fun. Like, Cardi B's not
Cardi,
even laughing with people
no,
who
she's
twerks
serious.
no more. She's serious. She like, no, we got to get this together. So we're all on board. No twerking.
Man,
This is
Cardi
not.
B 2024,
Yeah,
whenever.
Cardi B got a chance, yo. She
She
got a
does.
chance. She might could beat old Joe. She'll beat Joe Biden out. I'll vote for her.
Dog,
Let
if
Joe.
she did, I bet you she could legitimately run just off her
She
popularity.
legitimately could, yo. No, I'm serious. It's a new generation. Like, she legitimately could. So she
Wow.
legitimately could. So
Man.
yeah,
Well, I've had a hell of a time talking with you, man. It's getting kind of
definitely.
late.
Yes.
We will connect more on other things after this interview, but it was just nice to get you here and be able to talk about what's going on in the world right now and your story and how you've navigated through cannabis, being a Black woman. So it's been a great interview, and hopefully we'll get to connect more. When are you going to be coming back to Vegas?
I will. I'll be back to Vegas probably the end of June. I'll be wrapping up some stuff out here. I'm trying to get some new footage out here, go to hemp farms and just
Nice.
connect. I will be back and we will definitely get together face to face and hopefully work on some more projects together, whatever I
If we
can
got
lend
some
to you.
those ideas, we can link definitely
We,
and do some
we definitely
collaborative
will.
work.
For sure. And I definitely appreciate you having me on because I know you've been wanting me for a while.
Yeah.
Your audience only knew. You've been like, yo, it's been like you've been hunting me down. So, no, you really
Yeah.
have. That's what I love about you. You're so consistent. So, when you was like, yo, I can accommodate you, I'm like, no, I got to accommodate you because
Yeah.
you've been wanting to do this for like at least 6 months now. I can go back 6 months. I remember you asking for an
Well, I
interview. So,
appreciate you remembering and
yep.
giving me that opportunity to bring you on, because I know you're pretty busy yourself and you just been
Yeah.
having a lot on your plate, like you said.
Yeah.
So it was just great for you to reach out to me at such a late time to get this
Yep.
interview done. So I can only say thank you. So
No problem. Well, it's been a pleasure to the Smokey
mhm.
P audience. I appreciate you guys. I'm following you. Keep watching Smokey P. He's still doing great things out there, y'all. He doing his thing. So I
You doing
love
your
it.
thing as well. I appreciate you, Pop Mom. And this has
No
been another
problem.
great episode of Puffin with P. Peace out.
See you later.
All right. Have a great night.
You too.